This program is intended for informational purposes only and does not contain medical advice. As always, please contact your physician or qualified healthcare provider with any questions regarding a medical condition.
When I feel trapped and stuck, these parts of me that come out aren't attractive parts of me that come out. They're the parts of me that I'm trying to distance.
I'm thinking about the parallels between you and Aaron Hernandez. I can't help but think about them.
The intense high, just off of something that you're doing can send a roar through 80,000 people. My body is man, I missed that spike that you get.
The marriage lasted less than a year. What happened? Hot and Bothered podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford. Today's guest is a Pro Bowler, a musician, and a man whose story is as powerful on the field as it is off. He's gone from catching passes to catching wisdom, to battling demons to dropping bars, and he still finds the time to stiff-arm the stigma around mental health. Darren Waller is in the building, and trust me, this conversation is going deep. How did you like all my football references? I worked really, really hard on that intro.
I could tell there was intentionality in the wording.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much.
I'm not completely done battling demons, but we're getting there.
Listen, we're gonna jump right into that. So let's just start with, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Okay.
Let's go for it.
So I was talking to a couple of my friends. They're guys. And I was like, so guess who's gonna be my guest next week? Darren Waller, you know who he is, right? Because, they watch football and, they're sports advocates, they're, avid sports watchers and whatnot. And they were like, yeah, isn't that the guy that, was married to the WNBA player and then was all over the blogs because the marriage, basically just kind of fell apart inside of a year? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of times I really want to meet the guests where I meet them, and I don't like to do a whole lot of, homework and research, because then that'll lead you down certain pathways, and I don't ever really like to kind of get into the messiness, but fuck it, here we are. The marriage lasted less than a year. What happened?
13 months.
13 months. Okay. But forgive me. It was one month more than a year. Okay. So what happened?
To give context, got married. I think the day after we got back from our honeymoon, I got traded. And so it's never really getting to really spend time with each other, know each other like that. And then being out here on the East Coast most of the time, and really just having life just hit me out of nowhere. I got traded to the Giants, and I'm thinking this could be a great, a change of scenery changed my life before with football. This could be another one that could take it to a new level. I still feel like I had a lot more left in the tank. But then coming to the realization that I really don't. And really just finding myself probably for the third time of I'm in a situation where it checks all the boxes. Maybe
the situation being
culturally, I just signed a year before a contract to be, at the time, was the highest paid for my position ever in the history of the league.
As a tight end.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I'm married to this person that is very well known and
stunningly beautiful.
Yeah, but it's just why does it feel like I'm checking boxes? Why doesn't it feel like I'm alive? Why do I keep running into this situation and realizing there's a lot of wounds, a lot of things that I have needed to heal in myself that I had really only scratched the surface on by getting sober, to realize I needed to do a lot and figure out what it is that I really want from my life, what it is that, because I can't just be in these situations and continue to go on with them because I should be doing them, or they look good to other people, or they look impressive from the outside. So it's like really looking at that situation, like there's really nothing that either of us really have to lose from this situation. I mean, it's painful to come together and separate, but it's like nobody should really be in situations, because then like when I feel trapped and stuck, these parts of me that come out aren't attractive parts of me that come out.
Yeah.
They're the parts of me that I'm trying to distance myself from. And
did you think that she was going to be maybe your salvation, or kind of
in
like
a way, kind of, yeah. Like I look back at my life, and you know, I get sober, and then my career takes off really fast, and I have access to more things, more women, and it's like, yeah, I'm sober, but at the same time, I feel like I just traded those addictions for different things. External validation, success, relationships with women.
Yeah.
Those relationships go until I meet her, and there's never really any time to be like on your own and be like, okay, what kind of place am I coming from? Like, what's the foundation here? Because it's really just been going, achieving, desiring, accomplishing, and that's the same thing that took place in that relationship. Yeah. It's like a big target almost.
Yeah. Having access to a lot of excess, everything, especially women. You know, you're a Pro Bowl NFL player. You're quite striking. What was it about her that made you think she's the one? She's the one at the time. She's the one that I want to get married to. She's the one that I think I want to spend my life with. And she's the one who I may find salvation in.
Well, I looked at it from the standpoint of, you know, knowing like similar worlds, navigating world of professional athletics, pressures, the stresses that come with that.
And she understood the pressures too, because she's a professional athlete herself.
And then when we had first met, I was co-hosting this podcast, and it was kind of about like overcoming adversity. It was called Comeback Stories. And she had a really good comeback story, coming back from like a major injury. The same injury that Jason Tatum had against the Knicks, Achilles. And came back and was like playing the best of her career. And so it was like seeing her overcome that and her battles with mental health and all these things. And it's like, you see all these qualities, and it's like, that's exactly what I should be going for. That's exactly somebody I feel like. But then it's like, I look at the situation and I'm like, I don't really know who I am, because I'm in a way, I've tried not to be, but I am so identified with this football role where I look back and have done work on myself. It's like, I haven't really wanted to be this football guy since I was probably in early high school, middle school. Like, it's something I realize I'm good at, and, you know, I earn respect and validation by being good at this game. So I'm gonna take this as far as it goes. So it's like, for me to start a partnership with somebody based off of something that I never really felt that deep of a connection to anyway is like a false ground to build on.
Yeah.
Like, we're both athletes. If I look at it at me, who I am at my deepest level, at my core, I'm not an athlete. Like, I've been in the game and like put time in and had a career and everything.
But
like,
you'd lost your passion for it?
Yeah, because if I'm Darren Waller, I'm the athlete, my life is over at 32 if I approach it from that standpoint, which I'm not. So it's like, I didn't have the ability at the time to look long term. It's just like that initial rush and feeling almost like an addiction almost, to where it's like, oh, this is it, this is the one, without really laying the groundwork for eternity, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I had, my questions are all over the place here. So
My life has been all over the place.
It really is. Like, I'm just not even going to try and even, structure this interview in any way, shape, or form. I'm just going to kind of throw questions out at you, because they range in, within the realm of spirituality, mental health and addiction, introspection. And so you mentioned something about your identity as a football player. I've dated a couple. I was engaged to one. And I would say that the beginning of the end of our relationship was when he He knew that he was being put out to pasture. He knew that his career was starting to fade, but he wasn't ready to let go of it because so much of his identity was ensconced in that number on his back. And that's not an uncommon story.
Right.
That happens. That is the story of a lot of athletes that really struggle with a sense of identity outside of the profession that they play. And you never had that same struggle? Or did you?
I feel like my road was so bumpy, I couldn't have afforded to think that I could have this stable identity in football. Like, my junior year in high school, I got kicked off my basketball team. I got suspended twice from my college team for football. I got suspended twice on the Ravens. One of those was a year-long suspension. So it's like, I'm always this dude that's like doing things behind the scenes that's like, I'm about to be out of here. Like, this is going to be over at any moment. I don't even know how this is really continuing to even be a thing.
Investment. Investment. The NFL really, they think about the investment that they've put into you. And so it, in a way, it will help to excuse, bad behavior. I mean, we see it every single day.
Yeah.
So.
I think it was just like my talent that kept me around a lot of the time. But yeah, so like I got my third year in the league, which would have been my first year starting, I got banned from the league for at least a year. It ended up being 14 months for just like substance abuse, failing drug tests, getting in trouble. And I went to rehab and I was working at Sprouts Farmers Market when I got out of rehab. So
Wow.
It's like a lot of dudes that like have I'm the NFL player, bravado or identification, like, bro, I was making $11 an hour.
Their ego would never allow them to do what you did.
Exactly.
A lot of people would never be able, their ego would not allow them to do what you did, going from an NFL player to counter service, cashier at Sprouts.
You know what I'm saying? So then I get back into the league, maybe 18 months after I finished working at Sprouts. I signed a 3-year, $27 million contract with the Raiders in Oakland in 2019. And then 2022 is like 3 for 51. It's like, I have a different appreciation for money and a different appreciation for like this career. It's like, okay, cool. Like, I'm getting out of my own way and allowing my gifts to take over now. But I know what it's like to like be the person that nobody wants around or nobody would ever touch. So it's like, now that I'm somebody that's like, everybody wants to rub my back when I'm in the room, or they want me on their team now, or like I've reached a certain status in the league, it's like, it doesn't really boost my head up too high because I've been so low before. So that's why it's kind of like that middle ground of like, I didn't think I'd make it this far, so I haven't ever really attached myself to the game like this the way other people have.
Where are you from originally?
Like 30 minutes outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. What was it like growing, like where outside of, I'm from Ackworth. Okay, never
You ever
heard
like
of it.
Kennesaw, Marietta?
Yes, have.
Same area.
Okay, so what was that like growing up there? Was it rural? Was it suburban? What was
suburban?
It? Okay.
Very chill, like very good schools, like nothing externally rough. I had both parents at home, older sister, played sports. Like, it was a pretty normal standard growing up.
So where did addiction come into your story, and what were you addicted to?
So I'm connecting a lot of dots now because I didn't know a lot back then. I did not know that.
Therapy does that for you, right?
I did not know that my mom grew up with a father who was an addict. So my grandfather was an addict, and then both my dad's parents, who I never met because of their diseases, were addicts. Like, never even met them. So that's already setting a precedent in both sides of the family. Creating households for the children where they had to be codependent. Talk about my parents. So it's like they weren't actively in addiction, nothing that I saw, but it's like some of those codependent traits of like, well, we just got to look the part, we got to act right, we got to get these good grades, we got to present well, was like the energy in the family. So it's like, and they did a great job raising me. I ain't ever they did tremendous. But it's like, that turned me into a performer at a very young age. And when I didn't feel like I was performing the inability to deal with the overwhelm inside of me, or the failure or the shame that would just kind of like naturally come up. When I was 15, some homies had some painkillers. They was like, these will make you feel good. You know, in a time where I'm not feeling good, I try them and I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
And then a year later, I'm around folks that smoking weed. This is it too. Then I get past a Bud Light a year later, some Sky vodka. This is it too. Like it just kind of calms everything down, or at least it just numbs everything out.
Yeah.
And at the time, you know, I don't have the infrastructure to know that, oh, I'm not dealing with anything.
No, you're just self-medicating.
I'm suppressing, and I don't have the ability to put those together. But yeah, to answer your question, my addiction started when I was like 15 and went until I got sober a month. I got sober because I overdosed a month before my 25th birthday.
So you overdosed on painkillers?
Yeah, some Percocet that ended up being fentanyl.
Wow. How did that play out? Because usually that can be fatal and very quickly.
There is no comeback stories.
No, there's not. Like, did somebody have a Narcan pen?
There was nobody around. I woke up in my car.
Wow. And that was your dark night of the soul, come to Jesus moment?
That's I don't have the monopoly on who God is, what God's name is, but there's a power that is greater than this man sitting on his couch that had a plan for me to not be done on that day, because a lot of people get stopped if they ingest what I ingested that day.
So your addiction issues overlapped with your NFL career, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Majorly.
So what did that look like on a day where you have a game and I don't know, I guess the stress has reached a boiling point for you? What does that look like in terms of your use of drugs and in combination with you playing the game?
Well, I mean, I would pretty much use it every day. If I'm not doing perks every day, like I'm drinking one day, or smoking one day, I'm always doing it like after I get off of work. Like there's only like a couple times where I'm doing it like before I'm going in and we have like practice or a game or something. It's like usually in times where I'm like, all right, there's time before I have to go back to work. But I was in the building and I'm like living like this double life almost. Like I was always great at, putting the mask on, putting the like, yes, sir, no, sir. And like, I could look you in the eye and like have a deep conversation with you and we could laugh and, and leave people with the impression of like, man, like it's a good kid. Like he works hard and he knows the playbook front and back, and he's treats everybody in the building nicely. But then it's like, man, when he leaves, we don't know what he does or who he turns into, type of deal. So it's like I said, it was always like showing talents. There's no way the Baltimore Ravens would have still held on to me after them drafting me, knowing my college history and the stuff that I was doing while still there. They would not have held on to me if they didn't see the things and potential I guess I had early on in my career. But yeah, it was just like whenever I left, it was like, just get into it.
You know what I'm thinking about while you're sitting here? I'm thinking about the parallels between you and Aaron Hernandez. I can't help but think about them.
Yeah.
You know, he had severe addiction issues, amongst other issues that we're now aware of, but he had severe addiction issues throughout his college career. That resulted in behavioral issues, that resulted in the potential for him getting, kicked off teams and that sort of thing. And also he showed all of these red flags that people just completely ignored. You guys play the same position. Watching his story unfold, what did that do for you or do to you?
It put an emphasis on the fact that there's not anybody that's really gonna show up and like really truly like help you heal or go help you like search these dark corners of your life or your story, to like connect those dots and change your relationships to these memories. Like they're gonna be there and be like, they're gonna celebrate the talent. Like, man, Aaron Hernandez, he was just a great tight end, wasn't he? And like, man, he had all these signs and all these, and because people aren't necessarily, on the average basis, we're not concerned with mental health, we don't want to go that deep. We want to hang out at the surface. We don't want to touch those parts. So it's like we're just gonna hang out with Aaron Hernandez's talent and what he could have been, as opposed to being like, man, this dude is crying out for help, and nobody is gonna try to like meet him where he's at, or try to like show some vulnerability around him to where maybe he might feel welcome to share more. So I don't know. It's just like you see such promise, but it's like, what the fuck is the promise or the potential worth if the human being is insane? Like we get caught up on like what the human being can do and all he can accomplish, but like what about the person like that's suffering and dying, even though he's dancing and making everybody and entertaining, but like he's dying.
From the outside looking in, it seems that athletes are taught to suppress everything in the name of toughness. Like, would you agree with that?
I grew up in that era. It was our football coaches when we were younger, we ain't fucking crying out here. Rub some dirt on that shit, like like man up. I grew up with all that.
But there's so much that's so paradoxical about that. How do you maintain your sense of humanity when you have to be, such a beast or an animal, or just, just completely, one-dimensional on the field? How do you get off of that and be a three-dimensional human being who like honors their feelings? How does that work?
Well, we don't say it, but we clearly prioritize production over peace of mind, or over sanity. Like, we'd rather you go out there and catch 1,000 yards and 15 touchdowns, or score 30 in the NBA finals. And if you're suffering at home and struggling, we don't care as long as you're putting 30 up. Like, we don't say that, but that's kind of a world that we live in, I feel like.
Yeah, I'd compare that to the same way that people are militarized. The same kind of training, psychological training that men or people who go into the military are exposed to is the same thing the athletes are exposed to. And then when they come home or leave the league, they're expected to blend right in with society. How do you unlearn this stuff?
You got to do a lot of, that's why I feel like there's like the EMDR is something that I've gotten into, but it's like a top like trauma therapy. It allows a lot of like soldier, like whatever your trauma is, to go back and like change your relationships to these moments that you have that are traumatic for you and that trigger you to be like this person that's in war or combat. Because like football, like we're celebrated our entire life for imposing our will on people. Like imagine like an offensive lineman, or like you get paid, we cheer for you, we pat you on the back when you just run through somebody's face. When in the rest of your life, you need to be set up for having compassion for other people and being patient, and like that's not what we get celebrated for. Nobody's showing us this because we're getting all these stats and getting all this money, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. But it's like that's not really setting us up to have a long life of peace. So it's like there's a lot of therapy that needs to be done, but we ain't talking about that. There's a lot of things that need to change, mindsets, belief systems that need to change. But it's like we're never really told these things. We're just like, get out there and ball, man. Like, and that's pretty much it until you can. Then there's a new young dude we can put in there.
EMDR, I don't think I've ever heard of that. Tell me more, because I love learning about new modalities.
Yeah, I want to leave the detailed explanation to medical professionals. But,
but it's something that you've experienced.
Yeah.
So talk about your experience with EMDR.
So I do like a more of a bilateral stimulation form of EMDR.
Okay.
So where like I hold these tappers, and it like, there's something that's going on in your brain neurologically, where if the sensations are going off from left to right, that it's opening the brain somehow for you to go in there in like a neuroplastic way to like change your relationships to memories. So it's like I'll go in there and have done a lot of childhood stuff, like rejection wounds, things that have harmed me and made me like a validation seeker. Like I can go back and my therapist is leading me through these visualizations. It's like we say, okay, what do we want to talk about today? Times where I felt like I wasn't wanted or felt rejected. And it's like we go back into these memories, like the 6th grade version of me that got dumped by this girl in front of the whole school, and like she went with the 8th grader, and it's like going back to that moment where that kid didn't have anybody to be there for him. It's like my healthy, functional adult self can go into that moment and like start affirming myself in that moment and like reparenting that younger version of that child, or these younger versions of myself. And like I'm being led through these like hypnosis or like scripts. And so that's like a very helpful thing, because yeah, there's these dudes in the league, like they've been through so many things. Like I remember, I never forget, I saw Deion Sanders once. He was like, I don't want my defensive players, I want my defensive players from single parent homes. Like, because they're like more aggressive. They have like an edge, like the neighborhoods that they grew up in, like, you know what I'm saying? Like he understands that, like, and those dudes understand that, like but that's like trauma. That's like things like it's propelling them in their careers and helping them perform. But at the same time, it's like, that's real pain that hasn't been dealt with, because the career is gonna run out, but the pain's still gonna be there and direct you at the end of the day when your career is over with. So it's like, I feel like EMDR is a great modality for that.
So they have this thing that's called the Rookie Symposium, where they kind of teach you the ins and outs of living as a pro NFL player. Am I kind of hitting the nail on the head here? Okay, great. And they teach you all kinds of things, like how to deal with women and groupies and whatever else. Apparently y'all don't really, it doesn't resonate. But do you think that there should be some kind of program offered to football players on their way out of the league to try to prepare them for re-entering, civilian life?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to speak on the Rookie Symposium, it's I see it a lot like I was when I was like in my addiction, because there was a lot of people that were trying to help me and like had like helpful messages and had resources, but the state that the person's in from a mental standpoint, like they have to be ready to be willing to receive that information. And I wasn't, and I don't think a lot of guys are. They have their minds made up of how they want to, they want to spend money on a litany of things that I could list. And so it's like, really, it's up to them to receive that message and do something with it. But yeah, they give you resources for when you retire, but it's almost like it's like an email or like a quick newsletter of like, hey, these things are like available, but it's like, and they're trying to help. Like, I don't want to act like they're not trying to help.
Are they though? It seems kind of passive.
But it's like, yeah, it does. It seems like it could be more. It seems like it could be more engaging, and it does seem like there could be more of like we care about every step, every difficulty that you're dealing with. It does kind of feel like it's like, yeah, we got a bunch of resources. Here you go. Like, it's up to you now. Like, that is kind of how it feels. Like, it's just like throwing information at you, and it's like, you got the information.
That's why I consider it very similar to the military and quote unquote fighting for your country, because once it's all over, you are living with this now broken body, a lot of times a broken brain, PTSD, all of these issues, and they're like, all right, thanks for your service, and whatever happens, happens kind of thing. Good luck.
Right.
And that sounds, to me, it's really insidious. It's just to watch people devote almost their entire lives to achieving this goal, getting there, and for the most part, a lot of them never reach like the highest levels of, like a Tom Brady. A lot of players just kind of stay no names, just helmets and numbers, and then that's it. And that sounds horrifying to me, honestly, to have to try to pick up the pieces and assemble some level of an identity after you've been conditioned to be one thing for so long.
Yeah, and it's like there's the angle of we need people in the league to like help these guys on the back end, but I also think there needs to be a shift in how young men are approaching the game on the front end from like a identity standpoint to when I make it in football, I'm gonna be worth it or I'm gonna be good enough. And it's like, there's so much more to your picture in your life than to making this football career life and death. Like it's a vehicle for you to use when used the right way to set you up for so many different opportunities and to teach you so many skills and for you to show the world all the ways, all the gifts that you have to, and how you can overcome adversity and work together with a team. There's so many good things to get out of it, but without attaching your identity so hard to it. But you know, the world we live in, it's like 75% of my human interaction on a day-to-day basis is me winning somebody's fantasy league in 2019, 20, and 2021. Or like, you know, it's just like, they're so fascinated with it. And it's like on social media, it's like, this is like when you are balling at basketball or like you're Ant-Man, like you're it. Like, so it's like, these guys want to be that. And it's like, there's so much more to life than that, especially if you want to live a healthy one.
What's something that you were ashamed of that you now consider a strength or a superpower?
In the eyes of football, I always kind of like had this voice in my head that would like, I would call myself soft. Because in football, it's like if you watch closely, like when you get close to the end of the plays, there are dudes that are like trying to bury people into the ground. Like, and it's like, sometimes when it's like not necessary, but they're trying to like send a message and the coaches are like, let them know it's going to be a long day, like bury their ass in the ground. And I'm like, I was never really a person to do that. Like I would do my job, but like I would never be out there really trying to like embarrass somebody or bury them into the ground. And I always feel like I'm soft, like, you know, I got to be harder, I got to be tougher, when really it's like, nah, I feel like I have a heightened sense of compassion for people and empathy and like understanding. And it's like, those things aren't celebrated in these macho ass sports and environments that a lot of us men find ourselves in. But it's like, nah, like I've got compassion for people. I know when to be aggressive. I know when to turn it on and when to bust somebody's ass. But at the same time, I know when, I'd also know how to be gentler and more understanding and more compassionate at the same time. And it's like, I never celebrated myself for having that kind of versatility as a man. Because like usually like man conditioning is like hard, tough, run through somebody, get the job done, not necessarily a compassion. So now I'm able to shift that belief in myself and be like, no, that's a strength of mine, because I feel like I can relate to people of all walks, male, female, wherever their situation in life is. I can at least point something and be like, yeah, me too.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions about therapy. And, you know, when you were just describing the plan of action that you and your therapist have, I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my God, that is so fantastic. Because I do the same thing with my therapist. We have a plan of action. When we have, you know, delved into one area that needed attention and then we've flushed it out and we feel like, okay, we did that. What's the next thing? And, you know, at one point I used to think that inner child work was bullshit. I don't think that way anymore at all. I realized that young Melyssa, she needs to be reparented because she has severe abandonment issues from when I was a very little girl, related to my parents just feeling like my parents were just not available to me how I needed them to be.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people have the misconception that therapy is also very linear, and it's not. It up, down, and around and around. Like it's definitely not linear. How would you encourage people to pursue therapy knowing what you know about it? How hard it actually is, how much work it takes.
I think most general people can understand that when you suppress certain things and don't share them regularly, they can start to bottle up and start to build up. I think most people can realize that, but it hasn't really translated into people seeing therapy as a built-in, almost like a weapon for real, like in a positive way, for you to like shed the excess weight and process these things that can take up so much space energetically, can affect you physically from a stress standpoint. It's like, this is an option for you to just go in there. There's no judgment. They're literally not allowed to judge you. And you can just throw everything on the table, put it all out there, and you have somebody helping you arrange these pieces to the puzzle. Like, why wouldn't you want that? Especially if you have a life of dreams and goals and aspirations. There's going to be a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts, some things may be going great, and then on this end, it's like, this is falling apart though. So it's like, there's so many different moving parts. Why wouldn't you want somebody on your team, on your side, that's able to help you process all that and allow you to see where, you may be having some irrational thoughts or beliefs, or like how it's stemming from something from your childhood. You're not even reacting to that situation as the 32-year-old version of yourself. You're reacting to that as the 11-year-old version of yourself, and being able to cultivate that relationship with the younger version. So it's just like, it's a weapon. It's something that I feel like everybody should at least be trying to experience with, or, because we don't necessarily want to talk to people. We want to hide. We want to bury those things, stuff those things down. And it's like, it's not helpful in the long run. If we step out and zoom out, it's like, I want to be as light as possible. I want to be as free as possible, and approach everything that I'm doing with presence, intentionality, and the right perspective, as opposed to like a perspective of pain. And that's the only way I feel like I've been able to really walk through these things. Just trying to thug through it on my own, it ain't really been working.
So as a mental health advocate, when you talk to young people or even your teammates, whomever, what is something, a small message that you hope sticks with them long after the conversation's over?
I'd say authenticity there's no greater currency in life than just you being able to be who you are, because I try to tell them as much as possible. I've ran it up as high as you could in areas where it's like, it didn't really ultimately feel like the path or the dream that I wanted. It felt like it was honestly like a cultural dream, or dreams that other people like put in front of me. Like, this is gonna make you happy. This is gonna fulfill you. And it's like, you can run that up, but it's not gonna hit. It's not gonna feel like it's a full life that you really want. So it's like, authenticity begins with like vulnerability, like having people be able to see you at your core as you really are, not just this representative that you put out there that is like one you want people to see, because that only makes life lonelier. That only makes the walls between you and the connection and the love that you seek thicker and taller. Showing yourself as you really are also gives other permission to step out and do the same. And that's where like the real lifelong connections and bonds and love comes from. And that's all we really want at the end of the day. We want to feel safe, seen, and loved and secure. We try to find that in money and accomplishments and all these things, but the best way to find that is through other people and through the relationship that we have with ourselves.
June marks a year since you retired from the NFL. Do you miss it, or do you feel like that chapter is done, over, written, and closed?
As far as the process of actually playing football and doing everything that goes into it, I don't miss it at all. I feel like it's more of like my body and like my nervous system misses like the intense high that comes from, like, because most people probably don't understand how, like, just off of something that you're doing can like send like a roar through like 80,000 people. Like, I don't think like people understand how much of a high that can be. And then when you're not really in that field anymore, even though you may not be thinking you're seeking it, my body is like, man, I missed that spike that you get. But it's like, in a way, that's another way of my addiction playing out. It's like, say for me, if I'm gonna go back and be like, oh, I'm unretiring, I'd be unretiring because I want to feel that spike again. I don't want to do the process and actually like play the game of football. I want what the game of football would bring to me at this point. And it's like, that's not necessarily how I want to live my life. That's not authenticity that I'm just trying to preach to young people how I just answered your question. Like, there's a new chapter for me. I feel like God, the higher power of my life, is like, we did what we had to do in that realm. I'm trying to take you somewhere else. it may not be clear as day, but like there's another journey, there's another chapter, there's more to you. So no, I don't miss playing the game, being out there, getting hit and all that, but there were so many good memories and good times where it's like those deserve to be celebrated. It doesn't need to be like, I don't miss it, I don't watch, I don't want to look. But it also doesn't need to be me just like in this intense like longing to get back out there. It's like, nah, I feel like I'm finding my way in this middle ground of like, I appreciate the journey, but it's like, it's time for something new.
So let me ask you a question, because this might be rhetorical, but why does it seem like half the NFL wants to be rappers? Like, it just seems like rappers want to be athletes, athletes want to be rappers. I'm like, so I don't get it.
I'm open to being incorrect about this, but I started making music the same week I got drafted. I didn't tell anybody I was making it the first couple years. I put out my first project. It's called Better Call Wall in 2017. I was out of the league at the time. The next project I put out was
That's a clever title, by the way. Better Call Wall, Better Call Saul.
I was 2019. I was gonna put out my next project. In 2019, I'm like, I'm back in the league now. I'm the best player on the Raiders. Me and Travis Kelce are eye to eye in the league as far as who's the top guy. And I have this music project, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna put it out, but nobody in the league in 2019 was really putting no music out. There was a dude that was on the Browns. I think his name was Chad. What was his name? But he played for the Browns. He was like a producer. He had like made some beats for like Kodak Black while he was in the league, but nobody was putting music out. And I was like, I feel like this might be crazy if I put this out, but it's not affecting my performance. So I'm just about to start dropping because nobody was doing it at the time. But then I don't know. In a way, I feel like people might have looked to that and been like, shit, he rapping? Like, because I was looking around the league like, I want somebody else to put something out so I can put something out, but nobody else was putting anything out. So I was like, all right.
Yeah.
And then we did that project with the Madden soundtrack, and then like a whole bunch of dudes started coming out of the woodwork, basketball players, and it's like, I love to see it because it's been a great outlet for me. I'm sure it's a positive outlet for other guys to kind of stay out of trouble too. So
yeah, I was gonna ask what role creativity, making music plays in, your mental health journey. Is it an outlet? Is it a mirror? Is it both?
Oh, it's both.
Yeah.
It's both. Yeah, and it was like one of the first ways when I really started diving into creating was like of taking a risk and being like, hey, like this is something that I know for a fact, like I want to do this. Like there's some days where I want to play football, but most days I'm just like, but music was like, this is what I want to do and want to be exploring. And it took me a while for me to connect that generationally because my great grandfather was like a legendary like jazz pianist, and nobody else in my family really approached music like that. But it's like for some reason, like I feel like this gift is kind of in me, and it provided a great balance for me from football because football like takes a lot from you physically, mentally, emotionally. Like you got to pour out a lot. And when I would get home from the long days of work, it's like I open my laptop up or like I'm writing to a beat or something like that, and it's just like it's an undeniable feeling of like this is what I want to be, what I want to be doing, and words will just start pouring out. So it's been a way for me to process life, process emotions, make a hype track here and there. But like nowadays, like the ones that where it's like I'm really getting deeper into what I'm feeling, what my beliefs are, how I'm approaching life, like those are my favorite songs, and those are the easiest and most satisfying ones to make. So it's becoming even more of a mirror now for me.
What's the biggest stage that you've performed music on? In front of like, how big was the audience?
I performed at this party during the F1 race in Miami a few weeks ago. It was like
That was like 70,000 people?
It was like a couple hundred people in the little venue I was in.
Okay, the venue.
But yeah, that's easily the most. Before that, I've performed in front of like single digit people. I performed in front of like, I'll go to like a sketch bar and perform like, just to get the reps, because I never really, now I probably perform like double digit times. So like I feel more comfortable. But before I was like, I don't need to wait until like I have the ideal crowd that I would want in front of me to start performing. Like I should probably start getting some reps in. So
Yeah.
It's but yeah, not a couple hundred people I would say.
Tell me about a small victory that you've had right now, like recently. Something that would not be written about in like as part of a highlight reel or make the blogs or anything, but something that was really significant and important to you?
Um,
It could be a breakthrough that you had during a therapy session, or
yeah, I got a couple. I feel like there
please
are
share.
small, like some of the smallest moments, but I'll notice now that I have more self-esteem than I feel like I've ever had, or I've worked hard at one of my therapists. I have two therapists.
Wow, that's impressive.
Just wrote a song about that. But she has me listen to these positive beliefs audios, like as much as you can during the day. Like it'll probably at least like a couple times during the day.
Like affirmations?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I see them start to show up like as like almost like a counterpunch in boxing, like life with him in situations. But then I can like counter back with like a positive belief. And it's like you said before, some of that stuff kind of feels cheesy, but now it's like I can tell it feels more natural, and it's just the smallest of things. And now, last week, it hit me that a lot of I've been playing football, so I miss out on a lot of things and just like quality time of being with like friends and relationships in my life. And I was able to show up and like take my cousin to dinner for his birthday, and this dude who I'm a mentor to, I was able to show up to his stepdaughter's like graduation party. And I had a friend of mine that just had surgery. It really messed up his arm. I was able to go kick it with him. And it's just like seeing those moments of where it's like I spent most of my life putting relationships kind of on the back burner to perform, when really it's like I had fulfillment kind of backwards. It's really like the most fulfilling parts of my life are the relationships that I have, and like the genuine connection there, because I'm naturally just so isolated, and the negativity has pushed me hard to perform and to cover up anything that could be perceived as a weakness, to where it's like I never really allowed myself to have like a positive narrative going on, because I felt like I would mess something up if I was just like not on my own ass and harassing myself to do things perfectly. So the victories for me are being able to notice and believe in myself more, which I feel like retiring and stepping out of and getting a divorce and risking and having these things be public, but being able to walk through them and be like, I'm not dead. I'm actually more fully alive than I feel like I ever have been, is it's like a victory, because it's like you said, none of these things I consider victories, or nobody's gonna write an article about them. They'll look for another story. But for me, when I look in the mirror, it's like that's enough for me.
I feel like you're so ahead of the game. You're 32, you said?
Yeah.
I'm turning 49. Do you know I just recently came to the conclusions that you're coming to? I mean, in terms of even just the development of self-esteem. I've always portrayed that my self-esteem was on 100,000 trillion, or that was the assumption that people had of me. People had the assumption that I was extraordinarily confident because that's how I carried myself. The facade was real.
Yeah.
But that negative narrative inside of my head was constantly telling me to almost like trying to create a warrior mentality, but very faulty, because it would also be like, you're not worthy, you're not good enough. And any mistake that I made or any misstep in judgment that I made myself pay for it 20 times over. I didn't take my foot off the gas when it came to, just pounding, myself just mentally. And it wasn't until my mom passed away that I realized that if I did not take care of myself mentally, as well as I take care of myself physically, if I didn't learn to offer myself grace, I wasn't going to survive. It was going to kill me. And then through that process of learning how to be patient with myself and also intense therapy, I started to realize my self-esteem was improving drastically, just like almost by accident, And I think that those are like just really fantastic moments that I don't hear enough people discuss or share with each other, and create conversations around, because those small internal victories just really kind of keep you on the path. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just, I really wish that I could have had as much of a clue as you seem to have at the age of 32. Boy, was I didn't have the same journey.
Yeah, but
it was a lot longer.
Yeah, it's also like I had to get humbled a lot by life and kind of what my own actions have created to angle me in a way to where it's like, oh, like it's all kind of spawning from me, like a lack of care for myself or a showing up for myself. And a lot of times I feel like I'm, fighting generational battles single-handedly. And but if I start with me and how I treat myself, a lot of the times, all these other things are going to take care of themselves, because I'm sure you, like me, like we hold ourselves to high standards in the things that we put our hands on and whatever we're involved in. So that's only going to be enhanced by us caring for ourselves and actually like fostering a belief in doing things that make us feel better about ourselves. So
you mentioned having a mentee. When did you start mentoring people?
So in like 12-step programs, it's like you're somebody's sponsor.
Okay.
So you're basically like a mentor in that space of just like navigating life, like from a sober standpoint and also from like a spiritual standpoint, kind of go hand in hand. So I had a guy that I've really been able to form a really good relationship with, and even when I first started, I was like, I don't feel like I'm good enough to be giving anybody advice. Like I got so many demons I'm still trying to fight. But
therapists have therapists though.
Yeah, and it's like, who am I to think I have to have all the answers before I can show up for somebody or feel like God can use me in an interaction. So over time, I've seen my self-esteem grow there and feel like I don't have to try as hard to be there and impact his life. I can do that, but just by being myself, and just all the experiences I've gone through, whether you consider them wins or failures, like they're all experiences. Like there's so many people that could probably benefit from, whether it's achieving successes or being arrested 3 times or being a drug addict or like there's just so many wide ranges of experiences that I could just offer to somebody that could help them maybe navigate or dodge a pothole that I've stepped in and so many other people have stepped in. So who am I to criticize myself and keep me from being in environments like that? So that's something I definitely love to expand into more.
What role does meditating, journaling, yoga play in your mental health journey, your spiritual journey, your journey in general?
Big time. I was stealing 20 breaths back there in the green room.
I do box breaths.
Yeah. Just any chance I can get. Journaling is huge. Writing is super impactful for me. I can even notice a difference when I'm writing a song on paper versus writing it in my phone. It's like something about writing and just like reflecting on my day. Because a lot of times, like you said, like you go into the airport, you go into a new place. It's like we can go and get to the next thing without stopping and reflecting and seeing, like, sitting with those smaller moments in our day and seeing like how something so small could also be pivotal or could be a victory. So I feel like that's incredible for me. I'll get into a good yoga routine, and then like I'll kind of tail off, but I'm definitely on top more of like stretching and like recovery and like cool downs after workouts. But yeah, meditation, prayer, those are non-negotiables for me. I can literally feel the shift energetically in me if one of those things are missing in a day.
So I feel like a natural progression, in terms of the interview would be to talk about your foundation. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, the Darren Waller Foundation. It was founded in 2020 when we first moved to Vegas. It was right after I got approached by like a third-party organization that helps like athletes run those kind of things, because
those are hard to run.
Yeah,
I can't tell you how many athletes, foundation-sponsored events I've gone to. I'm like, wait, what's the cause here? What's happening? Like, it just seemed like a real meat market.
Shout out to the people that really run those nonprofits by themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an opportunity for me to really like a pay it forward type situation, because the league paid for me to go to rehab, and I went to a place. It was for 30 days. It was like 65 grand. So this is like a bougie, but it was like such a transformational experience for me. It's like I now have an opportunity to potentially give this gift to people that need it and that can't afford it, and who knows what could happen and their life could change. So now, since then, I think it's close to, we're in the 80s, maybe 90 people that we've put through detox, treatment, 30 days, and sober living, aftercare afterwards. Just like really cultivating that process for how people can really get clean and transition back into the world and stay clean to the best of their ability. So we've been able to do that, networking with different treatment centers in Nevada, and partnering with like some like the homeless organizations in the community to be able to, tap into their network and offer those people opportunities. So it's really been something that's had so much more of an impact in that community than I ever thought was possible. But it all just stemmed from the idea of, trying to be of service to people who I see myself in, because I was in a situation where I needed that gift, and getting to interact with those people as well. Like we've held like bowling parties and stuff, like the people that have made it through treatment, and just being able to interact with them and talk with them, and yeah, it's been incredible. Like I'm still speechless a lot of times by how it's impacted people.
Yeah, it seems like you find this work very rewarding. Like it's not actually work for you.
Yeah, because it's if there's one thing I could probably take away, or if anybody wants to understand like what it's really like to be an addict, it's isolation, but it's also like without even knowing it, you become so self-centered. It's about like when I can get high, like when I can change the way I feel at the expense of other people. Like I can have relationships in my life, opportunities in my life. I'll throw all those things away for myself, and that creates so much misery and so much depression. Whereas you start to learn that when you are able to give something to somebody else, or be impactful to them without needing anything in return, those are the more fulfilling moments. It was that almost that high that you were searching for in a different way, you find by being able to help somebody else.
What's something that you wish, or what's something that you would tell 18-year-old Darren that you think would actually have stuck? Because when we're 18, we think we know everything.
You are trying to impress so many people who are probably just as insecure or more insecure than you are. Because that's all it was for me. It was just like wanting to feel validated, wanting to feel loved, and wanting to feel seen, and thinking that having like almost this like terminal uniqueness of like nobody understands me, nobody feels like this, when odds are like, bro, everybody's probably feeling what you're feeling to some degree. They're just doing a good job of hiding it, kind of like you are. So I would tell them just like, bro, be yourself. There's no reason for you to want to be who everybody thinks you should be or would want you to be, because in the end, even if you get connection and validation from being that person, deep down that's not really who you are. So there's going to be that sense of fraud or whatever it is. But yeah, I would just tell him, man, like you don't have to spend time trying to impress these people. They trying to impress you. Like we're all looking for the same thing. And if we were able to connect on that common bond, that common struggle, we could just be exactly who we are and be seen in the process.
Okay, one last question. It's kind of lighthearted. They're going to do a movie on the story of your life. What's the title and who's playing you? And you can't say The Rock.
I don't know, man. The Rock might have to hit the weight room if you don't play me. No. I released a project called Walk-In Miracle. I think that might have to be the title. I'm gonna go Michael B. Jordan, man.
He's a little short to be playing you. Maybe.
It's the camera angles.
I guess. Okay. Yeah.
You ever seen
enough.
Mission Impossible? They're making Tom
you
Cruise
right
look like he's
about
6'3".
That. Yes, you're right about that. He's like 5'7" on a good day with lifts in his shoes. You are absolutely
Michael B. Jordan,
right.
5'7"?
No. I meant Tom Cruise.
Oh, how tall is Michael B. Jordan?
I want to say he's about 5'9" Shh.
Man, get that boy all the platform he needs. He's ready. He's ready to go. He's
Sure,
my guy.
in the face.
He's the
Yeah,
guy.
in the face. All right, it is time for rapid fire. This is the segment of the show where I ask you either or questions. They are lighthearted. Don't think too much. Just answer right away. Okay?
Got you. Got
Good?
you.
Good. Okay, here we go. Catch a touchdown or drop a fire verse?
A verse.
Studio sessions or game day?
Man, these are tough.
I know, right? Well,
Oh my God, I can't pick between them two. Studio session.
run block or run route?
Run route every day. I'll block if I got to, but yeah, we're running routes.
West Coast beats or East Coast bars?
It hurts me to say that because I grew up on East Coast bars. My dad's from Queens, but I gotta go West Coast beats at this point.
Super Bowl win or Grammy win?
Grammy win.
Yeah. Are you a night owl or an early riser?
Early riser.
Yoga or weight room?
I still need more weight room.
A hype playlist or chill vibes before a game?
Chill vibes, bro. There's been plenty of games where I've listened to Marvin Sapp before the game and like piano music, so chill vibes.
Okay. Throwback R&B or modern trap?
Throwback R&B.
A Hard Knocks cameo or a Tiny Desk concert?
Tiny Desk concert.
What's more intimidating, third and goal or a first date?
First date.
Okay, what would you rather be, fantasy football legend or real life underdog?
Real life underdog.
I think that's what you are.
Real life.
Darren Waller, thank you so much for joining me on Hot and Bothered.
Appreciate you having
We
me.
have a huge studio audience joining us, but thank you so much for joining me. You really are quite surprising. I mean, like, I know a little something about people judging a book by its cover.
Yeah.
And I am just kind of marveling at the level of your depth. It's in somebody so young. Just congratulations, young man.
Thank you.
Thank
you got
you
a lot
so
of
much.
depth too. I appreciate the show. And,
Thank you.
keep
All right, and thank you
And
guys so
Daisy.
much. Yes, and Daisy. I think I'm gonna lose her to you. But thank you all for joining us for another episode of Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford. Take care. Thank you for tuning into Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford. Please rate, subscribe, and comment, and share wherever you get your favorite podcasts. This season of Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford is hosted, written, and executive produced by me for Forged Path Productions. This episode was written and produced by Sebastian Godin. Filming and editing of this episode is done by GVI Films and executive produced by Rachel DeSalvo.